Welcome back. So now I'm going to explain the psychology of this because it's one thing to understand that, oh, these are the red flags, but understanding the psychology of it is where you're able to really see those traps coming and understand where your care provider is coming from and see whether or not you can actually work with them or you need to fire them. So you have to understand something about the medical model. It's based on the idea that your body is broken and needs fixing. It came from the Industrial Revolution when people were starting to learn about biology and they said bodies are like machines. We are far more complex than that. We are complex, holistic beings. We have intuition, we have feelings, we have values, we have different ways of viewing the world, and we have different biological makeups. So we are not all just one type of machine that all works the same way. And the problem is that the medical model really focuses on putting you into that box. That doesn't work. As you understand from True Natural Birth 101, this is a very nuanced way of birthing. There are no set stages. There is no set dilation. There is no set labor signs. What you really need to understand is that your body is unique. Even if this was like your third pregnancy, you're still going to have a different experience than you did the last time. You've got a different baby. Your body has changed over the years, and you may have different needs than you did before. So the thing is, though, is that your care provider is afraid of liability. And the medical administration and insurance companies are looking at profit and convenience when it comes to guidelines and protocols. They don't want to pay out a big lawsuit settlement for something that goes wrong. So what they're looking at is, here's a catastrophic outcome. We want to avoid catastrophic outcome. So here is intervention to avoid catastrophic outcome. Now, we don't care about side effects of intervention because we just are focused on avoiding catastrophic outcome that's going to have us pay out a lot and possibly lead to like horrors and a media circus. So that's what we're focused on. We don't see that catastrophic outcome is only 1 per 10,000 or 1 per 1,000. We don't care about that. We don't want to be that 1 per 1,000. So we're going to recommend intervention. Now, your care provider, of course, needs to recognize, like, okay, client is saying no, and I am told by administration I have to do this. And if I don't explain risks and client isn't fully aware of risks and this catastrophic outcome happens, I'm screwed. So you need to understand that. So to get your care provider to support your birth, you need to position yourself as a birth consumer and recognize that you're hiring a service. So to get the true natural birth in the medical system also requires you to be the decision maker, which means you have to take full responsibility for all your decisions, and you need to trust your intuition first. You can't be trusting them. Remember, they're also worried about profit, convenience, and liability. So what does being the birth consumer look like? Well, first of all, you need to sit with all of your feelings and process them first. And then you decide what your first choice is for your birth plan, and you tell your care provider only that plan. This is why you create your birth plan first. The next part you need to recognize is you need to expect that, yeah, there is going to be some pushback. And you need to know that it's coming from their fear, not what's true for you. So this is why understanding fear and doing the fear release techniques is going to be helpful, because then you can navigate your fear. You're not going to fall under their fear tactics. They can't pressure you. And at the same time, you can work with it. You can be like, oh, okay, so they're worried about this. Oh, that's in my backup plan. I can share with them that that's in my backup plan. And this is what Jenny did, is that her care provider was really worried when she said, I don't want Pitocin. And they said, well, what if something happens and you bleed out? And she's like, well, in that case, that is when I would probably consider it. But we're not looking at that. Other than that, I'm not doing it. Like, that's a hard line in the sand for me. We're not doing that. So they just basically need to know that if things really got real and there was a dire emergency, that you're not going to die on them, that you're not going to be like, I'd rather die. Like, that's what they're really afraid of. They don't want the lawsuit. They don't want the media circus. They don't want that trauma on themselves. They might have already seen some really catastrophic things, and you have to recognize that. You also have to remember that you're hiring them and they provide a service, and you get to pick which tools and expertise you want them to share with you. So you obviously don't pick somebody who has no tools for what you want, but it's okay to pick somebody who has a wide range of tools, and maybe they have the skills you want, and maybe they don't use those all the time. It's not what they're used to, but they have those skills, and you're like, no, I want these things. And they're like, oh, these things that I just kind of learned, but I haven't really practiced. Well, okay. Or maybe they're open to learning more. So you want to hire those people. You need to also remember that regardless of their usual standard of practice, you are the one deciding how things are going to go. And you can decline anything, absolutely anything, any test, any intervention, any exam, anything. You also have to remember that maybe they've never done this before, and also see this as a way to inspire them to be better for you and for future clients they have. It's like if you went into a store and you're like, hey, I'm looking for this thing. And the business is like, oh, we don't carry that. But then there becomes enough demand for it that they're like, oh, maybe we should start carrying that thing. It's like that. So you can actually change the marketplace by supply and demand. This is the idea behind that. And that leads to the empowered birth action step. So take out your birth vision, consider the kind of support that you'd need for a care provider in order to make that vision possible. Go deeper with the questions by also referring to the bonus guides that I mentioned that came with this part of the course. And if you want to go deeper with this, of course, I also have the advocacy skills. That is inside your Empowered Birth Academy. I will talk about that in the next session after I talk about getting your partner on board with your birth plan. So there's so much more to being a birth consumer, and there's so much more in the advocacy tools and understanding the deeper dive of how the system works. But for now, I just really wanted you to focus on just this overall process of understanding where your care provider is coming from and the red flags to watch out for, and creating your birth vision. So ultimately, the Empowered Birth Workshop is designed to help you create your birth plan roadmap. It's really designed so that you get a little bit past your fear, start recognizing what you truly want in your birth, what you want to avoid, avoiding those traps that you can fall into in planning your birth and having your birth plan. And then ultimately figuring out, is my care provider even going to support that kind of birth plan, or do I need to pivot? And then finally, the next piece I'm going to teach you is on getting your partner on board, because if you don't have the right support, it all falls apart. All right. So I will see you in the next session. And just remember that if you have any questions or you would like some additional resources, my team and myself, we are here to help you. We are committed to you having an empowered birth. Okay. We don't want you to fall into those traps. This isn't just, oh, you got a course and now you're done. No, if you have any questions, if you would like any additional support, send your email to hello@empoweringmomsbirth, and myself or someone on my team will support you. All right. And I will see you in the final piece of the training. Thank you so much for going through this. I'm so proud of you for getting this far. Go through your workbook, go and celebrate. If you want to take a little bit of a break, you absolutely can. If you just want to keep diving in, you can do that too. I mean, sometimes like you might be really addicted to this and be like, oh, I just want to get through this as fast as possible. And maybe you want to take some time and just watch these and then come back to the exercises. That's fine. But make sure that you are following that workbook, because the workbook is going to help you create that ultimate birth vision and get the ideas flowing so that you can have that empowered birth, that dream birth that you have been wanting, that you thought wasn't possible. It is possible. You can have it. I have seen magic with my clients, and I am here to support you. Okay. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the final session. Bye.